Welcome to Life Extension Live. I'm Dr. Mike, your host today. My co host, Dr. Crystal, I can't find her. I don't know where she's at. Robson, do you see her? I don't know. No, she's actually traveling and doing some other things for the company today. So it's just me. And we wanted to talk about magnesium. What an important mineral to talk about. It's one of my favorites. I take extra magnesium every day outside of my multivitamin. And I think there's good reason for that. 75% of Americans are consuming less than the recommended daily intake of magnesium. And that's not good because this one mineral literally runs like 300 or 400 reactions in your body. Everything from immune reactions, muscle, metabolism. So you can imagine how important it is to maximize magnesium intake. So, on today's show, here's what we're going to talk about. Number one, 4 reasons why you need magnesium. Number 2, the top drugs that deplete magnesium. And number 3, your magnesium food list. And I think Robson's throwing that up there right now. We always like to talk about food with this. That's Dr. Crystal's big thing. You know, she's a clinical nutritionist, and I think that's awesome. Food first. So let's get started and talk about the 4 main reasons why as a clinician, why I think you should be supplementing with magnesium. Or let me say it this way: uh, maybe it's not just supplementation. It's optimizing magnesium levels, whether that's through food and or supplements, all that. However you do that, we want to maximize, we want to optimize the amount of magnesium that is in our system. And here's 4 reasons why. Number 1, and this is a biggie. Big. If you take notes in this show, this is one you want to write down, and this is going to be high blood pressure, without a doubt. Blood pressure is only one of several heart disease risk factors, but it's one of the most predictable risk factors of having some sort of cardiovascular event within a few years. You want to make sure that you optimize blood pressure numbers. It is so important, and it turns out magnesium can play a big role in that. Now, you might be somebody who's on medication, or maybe you're pre-hypertensive and your doctor hasn't started medications yet. It doesn't really matter where you are in this. Adding more magnesium to your diet can have a significant impact on how your body manages blood pressure. It's so important. Now, the dose for this, and I want to make sure we go through this. I don't know, Robson, if we have slides for all this. I don't think we do, but I just want to make sure that we lay out what are the best doses of magnesium per day if you're dealing with some of these issues. So, number 1, with blood pressure, you're probably going to be between 500 and 1,000 milligrams per day. That's a nice dose range for taking magnesium in if you're dealing with blood pressure. Now, number 2, big one, constipation. Constipation is one of the most common complaints that people come to their primary doctor with, especially postmenopausal women. I have treated many postmenopausal women over the years, and constipation ranks high on their list of issues. Magnesium is a natural way to help your body remove those waste. It's known as an osmotic laxative. All that means is magnesium can draw water into your intestines. That simply helps to flush it out. At the end of the day, that's all it is. It's not stimulating you like some of the over-counter laxatives. Simple, natural mineral that helps to move your bowels, which can be very helpful. The dosing is the dose range here is pretty wide because everybody's different. Everybody kind of need, when it comes to bowel movements, everybody's different. And so the magnesium dose for this, for constipation, is somewhere between 500 and 1500 milligrams a day. And what the best thing to do is to start on that lower end. Start at 500 milligrams and see if that helps. I actually suggest that people do this at night. So that way, when you wake up in the morning, you can have your bowel movement. So 500 milligrams, see how that works. If that doesn't work, you can then move it to 750 milligrams, 1,000 milligrams. You can push it upwards even to 1,500 milligrams, but you got to kind of figure out where you're at in that range. So that's magnesium for constipation. Number 3, big, anxiety. Turns out that magnesium, at least what the studies show, are an inverse relationship between healthy mood and magnesium, meaning if magnesium is low, anxiety type symptoms are high. Now, this is not linear. It's not like saying, magnesium, a low magnesium is a cause of anxiety. That's not what I'm saying. But there are studies that have shown an association. The lower the magnesium in certain groups, the higher the symptoms of anxiety that they report. So we want to make sure, again, that we optimize magnesium levels, not only for blood pressure, for constipation, but for healthier mood. And that's going to be around 250 milligrams a day for most people dealing with low magnesium and anxiety. And then number 4, memory. Big reason to take magnesium. Now, I've talked about this a lot. I know a lot of you that watch the show have seen many of my webinars. You've listened to the Live Foreverish podcast, which you can go listen to a whole bunch of shows right now, liveforeverish.com. And Crystal and I talk about the effect that magnesium has on memory. Why is it so important? Why is magnesium, a mineral, so important to memory? Well, it turns out that memory and how we think and cognition it's really not about the number of brain cells that you have. It's more about how these brain cells connect to each other. These connections, what are sometimes called the neuronal highway or the synaptic connections, all the same thing. If you think of my fingers, if you look at my hand is a brain cell, Robson, and this other one's a brain cell. That's great that I have 2 brain cells, but what's more important is how they connect, how they talk. That's what's key to cognition and memory. And it turns out you can't have these connections without a high level of magnesium in your central nervous system. Now, everyday this is the key point you have to, if you're taking notes, write this down. Everyday magnesium citrate, magnesium oxide, magnesium glycinate, whatever it is, those forms of magnesium do not get into the brain as well as we need them to. And so the key form here, what I kind of call the brain magnesium, is magnesium threonate. That's a specific form of magnesium that gets into the brain at a high level and allows those connections. About 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams a day of magnesium threonate. Now, when you hear that, you might think that's a high dose, but that's really, at the end of the day, what you're really getting into your system, what you're really sending into your brain, is a lot lower than the 2,000. It's the form that it's in that is the 2,000. It's not as high as you think. Now, here's the great thing about magnesium threonate. If you're doing a magnesium formula for blood pressure or for constipation or for anxiety, as we covered here, or maybe even bone health, right? We could have added that. We could add that to the list here, Robson. If you take magnesium threonate in addition to that, that's fine, because the magnesium threonate is going to deliver the magnesium into the brain where you want it. So you can actually do both a formula for blood pressure and magnesium threonate, and you're not going to overdo it. That's the good news. Now, what about food? This is Dr. Crystal's favorite part, and I love this too. So, we're going to talk about the top 4 foods to eat regularly. Like, these are foods you want to eat as much as you can to improve your magnesium levels. Number one, she listed here. Oh, Robson, I wish I had my pumpkin seeds. I just opened up my pumpkin from Halloween. I let it, yeah. Pumpkins can sit for a long time if they're inside in room temperature. You don't have to worry about that. I recently just opened it up, I gutted it out, and I collected all of my pumpkin seeds. I don't think they're in my kitchen. I can't get to them. But so those pumpkin seeds, man, they're loaded with magnesium. Pumpkin seeds are a great way to increase and optimize your magnesium levels. So, man, eat as much as you can of those important seeds. You can deshell them or not, doesn't matter. I actually like the shell on it. So, what I do is I gutted out my pumpkin. You then take all that gut and you put it into a strainer, rinse it with water, and what you're left with are the pumpkin seeds. Spread those out on a baking sheet and just let them sit out at room temperature overnight because they kind of have to dry a little bit. Once they've dried, salt, pepper, as much as you want to taste, doesn't really matter, into the oven like you would roast root vegetables, 450 degrees or 425, 425 to 450 for about 20 minutes, something like that. And then take them out, hit them with some more seasoning, some of the best food sources you can have for magnesium. One of the best foods to eat right there, pumpkin seeds. Chia seeds, also really good. Boy, just adding some chia seeds to your salads that you eat or the soups that you like to do during the winter months, great way to get magnesium. Almonds, handful of almonds a day, wonderful. Now, I say handful, you got to be careful. I love almonds and I can overeat almonds and my calorie intake goes way up. So just a handful, just like in your palm, that's all you really need there. And then, of course, she listed spinach. A great source of magnesium. I would prefer the fresh spinach salad. How about a spinach salad with some almonds and chia seeds and pumpkin seeds all put on top? That's going to be an awesome way to bring in all of that important magnesium into your system. So don't forget about magnesium today. So important to optimize those levels. Let me tell you something. If you're taking certain drugs, you really got to focus on magnesium because some drugs can deplete magnesium from your body. If you're on what we call proton pump inhibitors for, say, like gastro reflux disease, man, those drugs wipe out magnesium. Make sure you're optimizing magnesium intake. Diuretics for blood pressure. Isn't that interesting? We give a class of drugs called diuretics, right, for people with high blood pressure. It eliminates magnesium, which happens to be a key mineral for healthy blood pressure. That doesn't sound right to me. So if you're going to do diuretics, they do work to drop blood pressure. Just make sure you're replacing the magnesium because at some point they may fight a little bit. And then if you're doing any sort of medications to boost insulin levels, another many different classes of drugs there, just be careful. They can deplete magnesium as well. So take your supplement. I think a good multivitamin with at least 250 milligrams a day of magnesium. And if you need extra, depending on what you're dealing with, you just do a simple magnesium standalone product. Just remember, if you want to boost memory with magnesium, it needs to be that special form called magnesium threonate. This was a lot of information in a short period of time, but that's who we are at Life Extension. We're educators. We can't help it. It's what we do. You can go to lifeextension.com/magnesium, and there's a really nice article that you can read and go through all these details. Take your time, absorb that information. Lifeextension.com/magnesium. Great resource to learn more about the importance of this key mineral, magnesium. Hey, listen, I'm Dr. Mike. I want to thank you for watching today. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving going into the holiday season now. Don't forget, every Wednesday, 3 p.m., we go live. Next Wednesday, it'll be myself and Dr. Crystal again. So please join us for that. We love that you comment, that you share, that you interact with us. So please continue to do that. Again, I'm Dr. Mike. Thanks for watching.